to what you have to say, because what you've been saying over the last couple of years is proven once again to be true. LeBron James will not play for an NBA title this year. Whether or not he will in the future, we don't know. But let's get to our list. He almost had a quadruple double, which isn't a good thing, because the turnovers were there, but he also, the points, rebounds, and assists were there as well. Grade his performance, so overall grade for LeBron James in Game 6. What is it, Skip?
I'm going to give LeBron a break today, because he did have a triple-double, including 19 rebounds. So I'm going to give him a D-, and that's D as in dog minus.
But it is a break. I thought for sure you had him for an F-.
The stat of the night, as you said in your setup, was that he did almost have a quadruple-double. In a do-or-die game on the road, a game that people had favored them to win from the start of the playoffs, LeBron James had 9 turnovers. And what shocked me the most was that at least 6 of them were shockingly unforced errors. They had nothing to do with defensive pressure, and they just took the heart out of his Cavaliers, I thought, because I saw a Prince James that once again was crumbling under the pressure and the expectations to be King James. And I want to point out, Jay and Rob, that the Cavs cut it to 4 with 8:37 left. And that was because he made a couple of threes. Now that broke an 0 for 10 three-point string for LeBron, and the second one was about as awkward-looking a three-point shot as I've ever witnessed. But it did go in. And all of a sudden, Rondo is feeling the heat from LeBron James and misses 2 free throws. Absolutely. And LeBron comes right down and turns it over for the 8th time again and crushes the momentum, and it swings the other way, and eventually Pierce hits the three-pointer, and it's over. In the last 8 minutes of that game, LeBron James, the 2-time MVP, took 3 shots total. He ran from the ball way too much. One of the shots he made, which was an uncontested dunk. And yet, in the last 2 minutes, Rob Parker, I saw LeBron James give up. And in turn, his team gave up.
The whole team did,
They all just said, okay, if you're giving up, we'll stop. We won't foul. And this was in a way that I could never have imagined a Michael Jordan or a Larry Bird or a Magic Johnson or even a Reggie Miller giving up with the game still a little bit in the balance.
For any winner.
Anybody. Because you're right, Skip, from that standpoint. I have him as a C- because I thought the turnovers were just crushing. You know, I understand the other points, the rebounds, that's all
the
fine.
shooting percentage was 8 for 21, which was actually the same percentage the team shot, but you've got to shoot better than 8 for 21.
But you can't be so sloppy with the ball, and I think you're right. There was a definite giving up at the end where the Celtics had missed some free throws. You get them to miss 2 or 3 free throws in a row, you knock down a couple
Especially
of threes.
with Rondo handling the ball.
There's a chance that you're still in the game.
Absolutely.
I was stunned that they just said, and you're right, but they were signaled by LeBron James, who at the very end, look at where he was. He wasn't touching the ball. He was pushed all the way out. I just thought to myself, he's not engaged at all.
Right.
And
the final minutes, it was each time he held the ball, the first thing he thought to do was to get rid of it. Like
hot potato. It was a game of hot
I think
potato.
you hit the nail on the head. He raised the white flag first, and you could see it. You could see it when they stopped fouling. The whole team put the white flag up. It was something. I think everybody was stunned as they watched that. All right, how much damage did LeBron James do to his reputation with this series of basketball?
Look, obviously, for me, as you well know, all too well, it just confirmed everything I've been saying about him for 3 or 4 years on the show, and so much of it I've been criticized for because I've been unfair and over the top when I talk about LeBron James. And so, Jay, just let me say, for the record right now, I'm offended when people dismiss me as a hater. I don't like that term when it comes to LeBron. If you want to use it in the big picture, that's fine.
And it's used towards you a lot, okay, when it comes to LeBron James and others, too.
As God is my witness, I don't hate LeBron. I don't know him well. You know him better than I do. But I get the feeling he's really a good guy, nice guy. Maybe he's too nice of a guy. But please don't kill the messenger, because all I ever do, and have tried to do from the start with LeBron James, is just watch closely and tell the truth about what I see. And truth is, from the start, I saw Batman talent, supreme talent, the biggest talent I've ever seen in the NBA. But the intangibles are much closer to Robin. He's Robin more than he's Batman. He's Pippen more than he's Jordan.
I think that's a legitimately fair point. If I may speak for those who throw the arrows at you when it comes to haters, answer this, because I think this is something that a lot of folks that listen have a problem with. We understand that there are shortcomings in the game. It's obvious. If you watch him as closely as you have, they are there. But the D- is to automatically dismiss a line, Skip, 27 points, 19 rebounds, and 10 assists. Now, yes, the turnovers are inexcusable, and the shooting percentage was pathetic, but a D- implies that he is the worst student in the class. That's where I think those that come at you with that hater line, I think that's the problem that they may have.
We're back to Michael Jordan. I feel like he begged this comparison, because he did choose number 23, and he's going to change to 6 next year, but he did steal the powder throwing routine, and I thought he shamed the number 23 the last 2 games. That's my legacy for him right now, because that's all I have to go on. But
well, you have other games.
I know, but he was lifeless in those last 2 games.
That's fair.
To the point, I'm saying he's the fake MJ. He's the 2-time MVP with 2 times the best regular season team by far, to me, and the prohibitive favorite going into the playoffs. And twice now, I've gone, okay, I'm going Orlando in 6 last year over Prince James.
You got them both.
And then I'm going Boston in 6 because he can't stand up to the pressure. The higher the expectations, the worse he performs.
Right. Now, this is, you talk about damaging his reputation, and I think he did damage it, especially the Game 5 was even more, where people just really lost their minds on what he was doing and couldn't put a finger on it.
A lot of head scratching to the disconnect of it wasn't there.
Totally. I think today, people should appreciate Michael Jordan more than ever before because, and I'm not saying it's LeBron's fault, because people always want to make a comparison, totally, Skip, to Michael Jordan. And when you look and now start to compare the notes, how hard it is to win and what it takes other than just pure basketball talent, which we know LeBron has, it tells you about that gene you always talk about that Michael has, that you got to question now whether or not LeBron really has it.
I think those questions are fair.
And I think this is what I got. Just 2 minutes ago, I'm in the cafeteria. Young 20-year-old black guy who is a LeBron fan, and those are all the people who you hear from who are all on LeBron's the greatest, said today for the first time, you know what, I think I'm going to be off this bandwagon. He is not Michael Jordan. And I think people are going to finally buy into what you've been saying for a long time.
Let me bring something up quickly, because you have always made the contention that it was LeBron who welcomed that upon himself. Truth be told, he was the chosen one, as dubbed by Sports Illustrated. The mass media, Skip, from the time this kid was 15 years old, was saying, as we so unfairly and often do, here he is, the next one.
I don't believe that LeBron James discouraged those
No, he didn't discourage it, but at 16 and 17 and 18-year-old, do you know how to do that?
Okay, what we've seen now, period, end of story. LeBron James was made for the regular season. He's a regular season dynamo. He's made for our Sports Center plays of the night because he's always #1 in the regular season. But come postseason time, he's the most overrated, overhyped superstar in my history in this business. Seriously. That's my bottom line to this discussion.
That's a very fair, I would say that's fair. I would say that's fair.
He doesn't have the...
Put up. Dwayne Wade just 8 points, a new career playoff low for him. The Mavs use a 21-9 run over the last 10-plus minutes of the game to win this and even up the series. LeBron, again, just 8 points. How do you explain this?
Rob, last night we saw the same LeBron James who went into a trance and crumbled under pressure in Game 5 last year against Boston, even in the second half of Game 6. This was the equivalent to me of an NBA panic attack, going blind under the pressure. 0 for 1 in the fourth quarter with 2 killer turnovers. Are you kidding me? On the NBA's biggest stage, in LeBron James' biggest moment, once again, he was exposed for how few superstar intangibles he has. Most talented player in the NBA, but no killer instinct, no rising to the biggest occasions. I still say the reason he chose to go to Miami was so Dwayne Wade could win him a ring or 3 or 4. And up 9 with 10 minutes to go, it sure looked like Dwayne Wade was taking LeBron on his first championship ride. So I'm not going to criticize LeBron for not scoring in this game because I don't expect him to score big in a game like this. Yeah, he got nervous-handed again, started breaking shots. He was even missing layups in the first half. What shocked me was that LeBron James went comatose on defense. After Jason Terry had called him out the day before, he went deadheaded on defense in the fourth quarter and let Jason Terry get loose for 8 points of what should have been maybe 10 or 12 or 14 points in the fourth quarter. And finally, I don't mind, again, that LeBron doesn't shoot, but I do mind that as the point guard of this team, he quit creating shots in the fourth quarter. Not one time did he get in the lane and create an easier shot for a Dwayne Wade who was getting double and triple teamed the whole fourth quarter.
Skip, this disappearing act is more inexcusable than last year, and I'm going to tell you why. You're on the precipice of winning a title. Up 3-1, right? I mean, it's a big game. LeBron, before the game, we saw the video. We should be playing like our backs are against the wall, even though we're up 2-1. Remember, he told everybody? And yet, in the fourth quarter especially, it was like a Where's Waldo. I didn't even know he was in the game. I'm looking for him, and you're right. It wasn't just, I think people can live with having a bad night, shooting, playing, making some mistakes, doing things, but he just was disengaged. How can you be disengaged in the biggest game to put your foot on the Dallas Mavericks' neck and go up 3-1 not to be engaged.
Is it possible that his early struggle is what disengaged him? You know, once you get off to that bad start, because I think a lot of people out there will say he had a bad game, worst time to have a bad game, but he had it. Is it possible that then, more so than the other nervousness of a playoff?
I'm not blaming him for shooting or not shooting in the fourth quarter. I don't care about that. But he did early on. He drove for what was going to be a layup, and at the last second, he airballed it.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so you're having a bad night, so quit shooting. That's fine with me.
And your other point about the defense, let's be honest. Jason Terry had open looks.
Yeah.
Where was LeBron? He had open looks. He could have knocked down, like I said, another six or 8 points.
And as I said yesterday, I said this. It doesn't take the clutch gene to play great shutdown defense. So at least if you're having a bad night, you can shut down the 6'2" guy that you're guarding in the fourth quarter. Are you kidding me? It got so bad that even on the last play of the game, Mike Miller had an open quick pass to LeBron in the corner for an open three. And Mike Miller said, no, I'm going over here. Because they just said.
He was at the Ohio State-Duke game last night, played in Columbus, Ohio, and to not many surprise, he was booed by the fans there to watch the game. He was there with Dwayne Wade. Later, the two teamed up to throw T-shirts out. PR move. I don't know if it worked. Can LeBron James ever regain his popularity? He took a big hit with the decision.
Sure he can. If he exercises the opt-out clause in 2 years and goes back to Cleveland. Sure, he can do it then. But outside of that, no. And what LeBron James needs to do is develop some alligator skin. Stop trying to be loved, okay? Because that's really what this is about. Look, man, they don't like you in Ohio. It's because you turned your back on the city. Now, I don't have a problem with you doing it. To me, Cleveland, South Beach, the choice is simple. I'm not hating on that at all. You could have handled it better, but clearly you made the right decision for you, and that's cool. But if you're going to wear the black hat, then wear the black hat. Skip Bayless on many, many occasions has brought up the name Kobe Bryant. You want me to tell you the number one reason why Kobe Bryant, they boo him in every arena, but he's cheered in every arena as well? Do you know why that is,
Tell
Jay?
us why.
It ain't just because his skills. It's because he could give 2 cents about what you think. He is coming to take you out. Whoever it is that you put in front of him, Kobe is on a mission to steamroll over you. He don't care whether you cheer for him. He don't care if you shake his hand. He don't care if you don't ask for autographs or pictures or whatever. If the cause of your hatred has something to do with basketball, he could care less. And LeBron James
He will
has to get
feed
to that
off your
point.
booze.
He'll
He
feed
will.
off
Yeah,
it.
you actually have to.
Absolutely.
I feel sorry for LeBron James, and I'm being sincere about this.
Why?
He doesn't want to be a villain. He does not want to embrace the hate, as you say. He's not a mentally tough kid, and he's still a kid at heart. He's almost childlike to me. He's not thick-skinned. He's thin-skinned. He wants so badly to be loved, and he can't be loved. He does the wrong thing at the wrong time. He can't stand up to the pressure in the fourth quarter of the NBA Finals. He turns into the frozen one, and it's predictable to me. And then it's pathetic. It's sad to me that he goes to the Buckeye game and he sits in the front row in his Buckeye colors, and they boo him off the court when he walks in. And then he has to stick around after the game, and he and D-Wade got to throw T-shirts to the crowd. Love me not. Love me not. Right?
Do you think if he had it to do all over again, he would either A, do it differently, go to Miami,
He'd
but
do it differently.
under a much different circumstance, or stay in Cleveland?
You know what? If he had it to do over again, I think he'd stay in Cleveland. I think this has crushed him. It's not a happy place for him anymore.
You think he would have done it?
I think he would have done it differently, but I ain't gonna think that he would have passed up on South Beach. I'm just not believing that. But I will say this again: he's got to get harder.
He
and
does.
not only that, and not only that's what it's going to require for him to win the world championship.
Yeah,
Because
that
you have
edge.
to understand, you gotta have that edge. You got listen. Instead of trying to act like you a champion, why don't you imitate champions? Why don't you steal something from them when it counts most? You know what?
Is
Study
he capable?
Kobe.
Is he capable?
Yes, he is, and that's why I'm staying on him. That's why I'm not letting him. It's not because I don't believe in him. It's because I do believe in him. He is too supremely talented. He may be the best talent in the world. You know what? You just got to get that heart, man. Stop walking around like the Tin Man syndrome. I mean, what is wrong with you?
Can't buy
Listen,
one.
Come on, man. He got it in him. Just peel it out. Suck it up.
You can't go
Wear
see-
the black
you
hat.
can't go see the
Wear
wizard.
the black
There's
hat.
no wizard.
Wear the black hat.
Is there a wizard, Jay?
Wear the black hat.
There's no wizard.
Wear the black
I'm
hat.
with you. I think you're born with that killer instinct.
Come on, man.
You're not.
You got to come with it. And you know what? If he doesn't have it, he won't win a title. Or if they do win a title, it'll be because of D-Wade and I.
Thank you.
And by the way, LeBron James, let me say this one last thing in front of this camera because this is very, very important. It is not enough for you to win the championship riding Dwayne Wade's coattails. If he's the MVP of the NBA Finals and you show up smaller than Mini-Me like you did for 4 straight fourth quarters of the NBA Finals, it still won't get by us. You can walk around with that ring and think you got something all you want to. You had damn well better be the reason the Miami Heat win this title. I'm talking, he's got to show up. He's got to make amends for not showing up in that NBA Finals last year. You got to get it done. I don't care what you do between now and May. I don't care what you do the first week of June since the Finals has been moved back for a week. You got to be the reason that the Miami Heat win the title. If you ain't, I don't want to hear from you, and nobody else should either. You got to get it done.
You sound like Stephen.
You got to get it done.
You sound like Stephen.
No, that's not good. Skip says he won't. Skip says he won't and he can't. I'm saying he can. He just hasn't done it. Get it done.
LeBron James, you should thank God for Dwayne Wade. Shannon Sharp, I know how much you love you some LeBron James. You already have him on your Mount Rushmore. In fact, sometimes you make the case that he's the greatest player ever, but then you sort of catch yourself and pull it back maybe one notch or two.
I might not catch myself this time.
You might not, because I might push you right over the edge with what I'm about to say. Okay. What has always driven me the craziest about LeBron James is many people, including you, elevate him into at least the top 5 all time, yet he remains, going into his 14th year, by his standards, a lousy outside shooter and an even worse free throw shooter. And I don't get it, because I have heard this theme for off season after off season after off season. And this is not LeBron hate, I'm stating facts here. LeBron always says, I will improve. I'll work on my free throw shooting. I'll work on my 3-point shooting. And the worst happens the year after that. So he made his first one last night, so now he's off to the preseason races, and maybe he's going to improve his 3-point shot. But I'm going to remind you, Michael Jordan couldn't shoot a lick when he came into this league out of North Carolina, and he taught himself what became a deadly 3-point shot. Magic Johnson couldn't shoot a lick. He had no jump shot when he came into the National Basketball, so he probably never did have a jump shot even when he was a pro, right? It was a set shot. But he taught himself a dependable, clutch 3-point shot that over time worked. And both of them were 85% free throw shooters, both regular season and post, right in that area. And LeBron remains that 74% free throw shooter that is so beneath the dignity of how great he is. And I'm going to say it again, he just keeps taking too many 3-point shots for the good of his team. How has he survived that? How has he lived to tell about that? How does he have the 3 rings that he has? He plays in the Eastern Conference. If he had played in the West over all these years, the dreaded West, I don't think he could have gotten away with missing so many 3-point shots. Because I'm going to remind you, let's just look at the biggest picture first. In his postseason history, for any player who's taken at least 700 postseason threes, LeBron is the all-time worst postseason 3-point shooter. I'm going to say it again, the all-time worst postseason 3-point shooter at 32%. He has missed 608 threes in playoff games. That's a lot of empty trips for his basketball team, but they have survived and lived to tell and gotten to a lot of finals because they're coming through the easier path, which is in the East. So what happened 2 years ago in the postseason? LeBron James shot 23%, which is the all-time worst of the 75 who have taken that many, the minimum shots required. 23%. Yet LeBron had his team, as you remember, I'm going back 2 finals ago, the first one against Golden State, they're up 2-1. LeBron is on the threshold of his greatest achievement as a basketball player, right? If he pulls that one off, no Kyrie, no Kevin Love, wow. I mean, even me, the hater, boy, I would stand up and applaud that.
Find a reason.
Okay, but I didn't find a reason because he gave me a reason. He handed it to me on silver platters because game 4 in LeBron's house, they're up 2-1. And he didn't take a lot of threes in that game. He's just 1 for 4. But he's 7 for 22 from the field, took too many outside shots. He's just never really improved as an outside shooter. And then we fast forward to game 6 that year, where they had a chance back in his house to at least force a game 7. And you never know what might happen back in Golden State, as we saw this year. And LeBron goes 2 for 10 from 3. It's inevitable that he's going to have those kind of games a lot more than his occasional rare hot streaks where he'll just go crazy making 3-point shots. And then what happened last year, the regular season, after he dedicated his offseason to improving his 3-point shot, he shot 30.9% last regular season, which was the worst he shot since his rookie year. Did he improve? No, he didn't. Did he improve his free throw shooting? No, he didn't. He's still a liability when it comes to the postseason, especially from the 3-point line, but also from the free throw line. And he should be better than that. Do you know how many points he's left on the table by missing free throws? I mean, do I need to remind you, Larry Bird was almost a 90% free throw shooter?
You can talk as long as you want to try to make me forget my points, but I got them written down here, so you take as long as you need, and when you're done, you just let me know, and I'm gonna sit on back here. Hey, don't worry about me. You take as much time as you need.
I gotta tell you.
You're like 9 minutes, but I got my numbers right here, because I knew this was gonna happen.
I gotta tell you.
I knew you would do this, and I came prepared for you today. So go ahead, take as much time as you need, Joy. Joy, will you buzz me when he's ready? Okay.
I talked too long, Joy, and I apologize for that, to the point that I just made myself feel sorry for LeBron James because I've piled on too much, and I have a lot more. I could just throw number after number at you,
Just let me
and
know
it would
when
just
you're done.
crush whatever weak, meager argument you're going to throw back at me.
Bron,
But
I got you
think-
today, bro. I got you today,
talking
Bron.
to him?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
there's a rare dunk from
Hey.
LeBron.
Oh boy. Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Well, folks, you heard it right there. LeBron James has been the king of nothing. The king of nothing good. Only failing, choking, melting down. That's it, folks. That's it. And before we go any further, let me say this, because I don't want to lose sight of this. This is only, a few videos, but you can pull them up if you want to. So when they started to defend LeBron James is basically the year he won his championship. 2012 was a Rise of Clutch Sports. 2012, Stephen A. Smith started the show with Skip Bayless, First Take. And I got to tell you guys, as intelligent as Stephen A. Smith sounds, to actually defend LeBron James from day one, or ever since he's been doing it since 2012, this guy sounds and looks like an idiot, and he sounds and looks like he knows nothing about NBA basketball, folks. Nothing at all. You would expect that from maybe Shannon Sharp, right? But this guy is supposed to be this all-time great NBA analyst that's supposed to be giving you historical views of the game, which he really doesn't. He gives you his top 10 sometimes, or his top 5, or his Mount Rushmore. He don't really give you no historical NBA, because if he did, he couldn't defend LeBron James. But the way he acts or the way he acts is like he's this historian of the NBA, and he's all world when it comes to sports. So when guys like Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, Chris Broussard, when these guys started to defend LeBron James, you know how they defended him? And excuse his losing and what made him a great player was the total opposite of what people would say to defend Michael Jordan. And what they would say to defend Michael Jordan was basically the greatest offensive player of all time. They might say that. Maybe no flaws in his game. A two-way player. The greatest scorer of all time with 10 scoring titles. Maybe the greatest mid-range shooter. Did I say the great? One of the top 5 two-way players of all time. A great leader. A great champion. Never went to a Game 6 in the finals. How about won the Eastern Conference 5 times in 6 NBA appearances? Never lost the finals. Put fear in his opponent's eyes. In his opponent's eyes. Clutch. Michael Jordan was clutch. And we can go on with those similar things that people will say about Michael Jordan. You know what they would say in defense of LeBron James? And why when the Stephen A. Smiths came aboard, Shannon Sharp, their basic line was 27, 7, and 7. Look at his stats. Look at his stats. What he put up. Look what he put up. You would never hear nothing like that from Michael Jordan. If you did, it would be like, oh man, this guy set an all-time record at the Garden. You wouldn't hear that. Nobody was saying, well, look at Mike's stats. And you know why not? Because we didn't know Michael Jordan for melting down. We didn't know that. We didn't know Michael Jordan for choking. See, folks, it's a difference when we talk about those two. Choking is when you were supposed to win. When you were the favorites. Right? Rather coming into the series, coming into that game, coming into the season, coming into the playoffs, whatever. You was the favorite, but you choked. They weren't supposed to win. You were supposed to win. You choked. A meltdown is not having a bad game. We can go to any great player and say, well, Jordan had a bad game. Kareem had a bad game. Magic had a bad game. Bird had a game. We're talking about for a series when we look at the numbers. And for some reason, time and time again, LeBron didn't only just choke when he had the odds stacked in his favor with his super teams, but he melted down with his super teams. Oh, goodness. See, Stephen A. Smith will come in 2012 because they had to make something out of this, folks. It was getting out of hand. When you look at these LeBron fans in I'm done with the 90s. Well, if I ain't mistaken, Dirk Nowitzki came out in the 90s. Jason Kidd came out in the 90s. Tim Duncan came out in the 90s. Kobe Bryant came out in the 90s. Right? And although, some of them didn't play the entire 90s or half the 90s, they still came into the 2000s not only playing with guys who played in the 90s, half the 90s, but they also had the mentality from at least playing in the 90s for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. They at least had the mentality of the 90s because they watched 90s players. So when we talk about the Tim Duncans, the Dirk Nowinskis, the Kobe Bryants, they had that mentality of 90s players. That's what they watched on TV. And they eventually played in the 90s. And if they were in college, that's what was played, 90s style basketball. If they were in high school, that's what was played in high school back then. So when you put that together, you can see why they stomped out LeBron James again and again and again, all through the 2000s and then going into the 2010s. LeBron James never had a 90s mentality. Tim Duncan destroyed LeBron twice because he had a 90s mentality. Those guys played like 90s guys. Tim Duncan did. Him and LeBron good friends, but bro, I can't take it easy on you. Guess what? I'm trying to get up there with the all-time greats. I mean, Tim Duncan is one finals win, maybe, from replacing Magic Johnson. That's real. He would have had 4 finals MVPs, 6-0 in the championship. I'm not taking Kareem out, and I'm not taking Wilt out. No way. And Jordan definitely ain't coming out. And Bill Russell ain't coming out. So I would have to take Magic out. But he was that one win away. And we all know he didn't win because he wasn't in the game to get that rebound. And he came back next season and destroyed the NBA and destroyed LeBron James. This is what great players do that have a no-nonsense type of approach to the game. LeBron James don't have that mentality of I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get this revenge. Nope, he ain't got that, folks. Never has, never will, right? He's playing. I'll try to tell you guys, you heard what they said in the video when he went back to Cleveland and they booed him. Not only in Cleveland, he was the most hated guy in the NBA. Nobody hated LeBron James before that. But he took the easy route out, the easy way out, because he wasn't clutch. And let me, I want to stay where I am right here, but let me, before I forget, when you look at some of these games, man, and LeBron losing, you got to start thinking, did he throw these games, right, on purpose? Gambling purposes? I'm just saying, folks, there's no proof of it. I can never prove that. I'm not saying he did. But, man, all this choking from 2000, basically 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Whew. You just scratch your head. Was he throwing those games? Did somebody have something right that we didn't know about? They had a chance to go up 3-1 on Dallas, and this dude's out there. Where's Waldo? Turning the ball over, not playing defense, missing layups, just doing all this crazy stuff because Dwayne Wade was leading the cavalry, was leading the team. So he wasn't going to have that. He wanted that Finals MVP. Because not only if Wade would have got it, guess what? They would have said that Wade is the leader of that team. Remember, they actually had the nerve to keep promoting LeBron James as the leader of the team after he melted down in 2011. 9-10, and then he goes, how can you be a leader of a team when you go to somebody else's team? That don't make any sense, folks. That makes no sense at all. So I tell people all the time, I say, y'all got to understand, yes, he went to the 2020 bubble, that championship, that finals, because it was no competition there. Everybody was sick, dying. The world was shut down. But he's never going back to another finals. Never. Never, ever, ever, ever. Because in those finals, it'll be real competition. It'll be real competition. The East is not weak like that. No more. It'll be real competition. Somebody coming at his head. And he knew he don't have nothing to worry about anyways. It never come out the West. So Tim Duncan stomped him out. 90s mentality. Dirk Nowitzki, late 90s. I think he came in 98, 99 season. Beat LeBron's super team. Right? Beat LeBron's super team after this guy was down 2-1. And we all know Kobe didn't beat him in the championship, but Kobe softed up like a biscuit on this guy, beating his teams, winning back-to-back championships with no super team, no top 75 teammate, and bringing home gold 2 years in a row in that 4-year span, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So gold in the FIBA, gold in the Olympics, finals appearance, championship, finals appearance, championship. It's over, folks. We talked about that the other day. He will never do what Kobe Bryant did in those 4 years. Kobe said, oh, you need some help? Don't look like you can bring that gold home in the FIBA. You just got smoked by grease plumbers. Let me bring that gold home for you. Don't look like you can bring that gold home in the Olympics. You got smoked by a 6-man Manu Ginobili in the Argentinians with not one melanated brother on that team. Brother, like Stephen A. Smith would say. Well, I hope to see you in the championship game in 2008, LeBron. You was just in there in 2007. We know you melted down, but you should be, just a little bit better. Nope. You couldn't beat the 10-year plus big three to make it there. Well, I guess I'll see you in 2009. Nope. Couldn't beat the Magic in 2009. And guess what? That Magic team beat the Celtics, the big three Celtics. They don't talk about that. 2009, yeah. They beat LeBron, and then they beat the big three Celtics. So you're trying to tell me LeBron couldn't beat the big three Celtics? So Kobe, he said, well, you didn't show it, LeBron. I'll take that. 2010, the same nonsense. Here comes the big three that the Celtics already beat. So there's no excuse that, again, LeBron James with the number 1 overall seed in the playoffs and was expected to win the championship in both years, 2009, 2010. Remember those matchups that the LeBron fans? Oh man, every time Kobe played LeBron, man, Kobe got beat, man. Yep, it's always when the stakes aren't the highest for LeBron James. So LeBron gets beat by number 4 seed Celtics, huh? And Kobe has to take care of business again. It's over, folks. The media knew that back then. You want me to put out the videos? They'll tell you. It was the Kobe Michael Jordan debate. What he did in 7 gold, 8 gold, finals, 09 finals, championship, 10 finals, championship. It was over. And that's the debate that people like to have too. The Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant. The thing is with Tim Duncan, this is what I would say. I would say, like, to me, as players, you can't put one over the other. You just can't do that. They play different positions. They're all-time greats at their position, offensively, defensively. Kobe might be better offensively, but Tim Duncan, to me, is better defensively. They both had great coaches. The difference for me is that Kobe went to 3 straight finals and won back-to-back. Tim Duncan has never even been to 2 straight finals. So definitely he ain't winning back-to-back. No, I'm sorry. He did against Miami. Yeah, he went to back-to-back. But he's never won back-to-back. And we can say, Kobe only had 1 Hall of Famer. Ginobili and Parker, I think, did Parker go to Hall of Fame? But we know he is. I don't know if he did, but Ginobili is going to get in there. Not only based because what he did overseas in the Euro leagues, but what he did in the NBA too. He's going to get in there. So you just can't. What they've been trying to do since 2012 for LeBron James, even though he, pooped on himself since 2012 and, been carried, having to play with other teams' #1 franchise players, is that the whole thing is antagonizing Michael Jordan fans. That's all it is. The LeBron media and the LeBron fans that learn from the LeBron media, we're just going to say all this stuff just to piss off the Michael Jordan fans, just to antagonize the Michael Jordan fans. Because the Michael Jordan fans know that this is no debate. So we're just going to still act like it's a debate to piss off the Michael Jordan fans. And that's what will get the views and get the audience. I was shopping this past weekend, and it's amazing when you go on some of these places, Foot Locker and Finish Line, and all these places that have sneakers and Nikes and Jordans and all this different stuff. And it's crazy. LeBron has a little section of a couple shoes, his latest couple shoes. Michael Jordan has a whole damn section by himself. LeBron has a corner with a couple new shoes that just came out. Michael Jordan, just in shoes, has like 15 pairs of shoes sitting on the shelf at any given time. Not only that, you got Michael Jordan backpacks, Michael Jordan shirts, hoodies, sweaters, socks, headbands. I even saw Michael Jordan work boots, Michael Jordan shoestrings, Michael Jordan socks, sweatpants. Man, they got all kind of stuff. Michael Jordan, what was it? Soccer shoes, I've seen that before. Michael Jordan, just everything. You guys can mention a couple other things I didn't mention, but it's the most ridiculous thing you ever seen. The fact that this guy has been playing for 22 years and supposed to be this, compared to Michael Jordan, and you can't even catch nobody wearing his shoes hardly. And where's his apparel? Maybe it's in Cleveland. It's not where I live at. So yeah, the whole GOAT debate is, and when I said something about this guy throwing these games, I don't know, man. It's just kind of funny because how this guy can get $1 billion literally off of having no great skill set, but getting stats. His main thing is to get these stats to look good. It's not getting these stats to win. It's to look good, even though it's fraudulent. That's why I try to tell you guys. Stephen A. Smith and these dudes that say 27, 7, and 7. What about his rebounds? The biggest guy on the court, 6'9", and he's getting 7 rebounds? That's lazy, folks. That's the worst. That's bad. That's bad. That's really bad. That don't make any sense. That doesn't make any kind of sense. And it wasn't until his, I want to say, 6th NBA Finals, he finally scored, well, averaged 30 points per game in a series. And you know what happened in the NBA Finals? Kyrie went down. You know what else happened in that finals? He had to shoot more, and he ended up shooting like 38, 39% from the field. 2015. He had like 4 turnovers a game. It was crazy, man. Like 31% from the three, 68% from the line. So there it is, folks. When he has to do more to will his team to victory in big games like the NBA Finals or the Eastern Conference Finals, or if he has to shoot more, he's done. Because it means he's going to have to go out to the mid-range, the three, all this stuff, and his averages are going to go down, right? His percentages are going to go down. He's not a shooter. You heard Skip. What did Skip say? Skip said the guy shot all these damn threes, was always up. Well, he said, I don't know what year that was. It had to be about, he already won his 3rd championship, so it might have been 2017, maybe 18. I don't know what year it was, but it was one of those years. Skip said he shot the most 3-pointers in the playoffs in NBA history, folks. We ain't talking about, this was 2020. Remember, he was still at Cleveland. But he had the worst, I think, what do you say, he hit the least, or he had the worst percentage of all time. Something like that. Shot the most, but had the worst percentage of all time in the playoffs back then. And what Skip was trying to stress was like, why does this guy keep shooting these threes? You can't even shoot free throws. You can't even shoot the mid-range. What are you doing? Well, it's just him being lazy, folks. It's just him being lazy. Because if you go down to the paint, if you get these guys some paint work, you're going to have to use some energy. If you work on the post game, you're going to have to use some energy. He know he ain't going to shoot no mid-range consistently. He's going to break it up. And the problem with him is he built his body up so big that he could never be a shooter like that. Shooters aren't that big. So now that's fine. But let's get down there and get some footwork. You know, get in the paint like Charles Barkley, Karl Malone. You know, some guys that know how to dominate in the paint. Nope, he didn't want to do that. Because like I said, it's using too much energy. You guys claim that this guy has all this energy, but he really don't, folks. He really don't. That's why he stands around so much on defense. Right? Because he really don't have that much. It's all fake. That's why he has to build super teams to make up for all his deficiencies. Because if not, he'll be using too much energy. I just like these clips, man. Maybe I'll put some more up. I don't know if they're gonna copy strike me or whatever like that. But like I said, everybody else can put these videos up and they don't get a copy strike. But we just try to put these videos up to show the LeBron fans that his whole what you want to call it, his career is made up. There's nothing great about it, guys. And Skip clowned him all through his career with facts. And all Stephen A. Smith could say and Shannon Sharp, all they could say was a whole bunch of dumb stuff. Stats that don't win. Right? Plays in the weak East. Like Skip said, you couldn't do that in the West. Look, ever since he went to the West. And this ain't even the competition West that he would have played against in the 2000s or the 2010s. Where would he be? Where would he be at? Where would he be at if he played Kobe's competition, Golden State's competition in the West, hardest competition in the West. All these guys at Steve Nash, all these guys that played in the West, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, this guy played all these guys competition in the West, right? If he played in the West. And he didn't have a super team in the West. This guy might be a role player, folks. Might be a role player. Because he went to the finals in 2007, beating two teams that only won what? What were they? They only won 50% of the games, right? No, 500 win teams, my fault. They were kind of the same thing. They were 500 win teams. What was it? The Wizards and the Nets. And some of them guys were hurt. And then he beat a Detroit team without Ben Wallace. Or their coach. It just ain't there, folks. He wasn't making the playoffs in the East before they cut out defense. He might be a third wheel on a team, right? I mean, you really got to, admire the guy for taking the face of the league, because we got to come to grips with a lot of these guys don't even want that, man. They don't even want to be the face of the league. That's probably why we've been told that this guy made $1 billion. But we're trying to figure out, like, how you make $1 billion? You ain't got no game. Can't shoot the mid-range. Can't shoot free throws. Can't shoot from the line. Can't give us no paint work. Ain't clutch. You did it the wrong way. You built super teams. And then you still lost with super teams. You barely won when you did win with these super teams. The dude always did it the wrong way. And this is why you can't listen to people like Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, and the rest of these clowns. Because they'll tell you the truth about the NFL, this sport, about life in general, just different things. But when it comes to this guy, they'll just lie up a storm. Lie up a storm. They'll lie up a storm. But we got receipts. We got receipts from history. And it's just sad, man, because media was not like that back then. You didn't really get condemned for losing if he was an all-time great, but they didn't pump people up into a different stratosphere. We were just like, that's a great player. They pumped this guy up into a different stratosphere ever since he came into the league, and then he failed. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem. And then finally, they said, this is so bad, man. We just going to have to get people to defend him. Maybe he can ultimately win. You got to remember, when he started winning, the league really did get weak. We know he won in 2012, 2013. But it was, Tim Duncan was old. And he still blew him out the next season. He beat a baby Thunder team, and he needed a super team to do that. Those guys were organic. So he really had no... If you have super teams and you're playing and you're just another one amongst the other ones, you didn't win nothing organically. Especially when you guys are still in your prime. It ain't like Drexler, Barkley, and Elijah one got together and was winning as super teams, which that'll never happen. It'll never happen. You saw when it happened. When Pippen did it with them, it didn't happen. Guys back then, out their prime, it couldn't happen. The only way Dwayne Wade won it with Shaq and Alonzo Mourning and Peyton, it took a lot. It took a lot. And the same shenanigans, I mean, even worse shenanigans now. We're supposed to cry because this guy is out with a foot injury, foot soreness. I mean, this guy's been a second wheel to a third wheel or a third wheel all of his career. And we still talk about him. What's he going to do? Him carrying the team. He never carried a team, folks. All the guys I've mentioned have won a championship without a super team. Don't tell me some guys that got drafted. How come he didn't wait for those guys to get drafted? Bird didn't win with no super team. Kareem didn't win with no super team. Curry didn't win with no super team. Well, he won 2 without a super team. Giannis didn't win without a super team. Joker won without a super team. Michael Jordan won without a super team. Kobe won without a super team, folks. So you got to start thinking when you put stats to the side, which the stats mean nothing if he's on a super team. win a championship. So you got to start thinking, is he really above any of those guys that I mentioned? You got to really, start thinking. And there's other players too that won without super teams. But, you just got to start thinking, okay, is he above those guys? How can he be above those guys just because of stats? And he's winning MVPs on super teams. That makes no sense. Elijah won back to back with no super team. I said I missed somebody. I mean, the Pistons, Isaiah without a super team. Don't tell me top 75 Hall of Fame. No, those guys were drafted. Those guys were drafted together. They made each other better to get the Hall of Fame, to get the top 75 status. It don't work like that, folks. This is the stuff that is made up by LeBron fans. Guys get drafted together and they're a super team. Well, how come he couldn't? This is the ultimate guy that they say all the time that makes his teammates better, but can't make these guys into Hall of Famers. This is the most ridiculous thing I heard. No, what he does is he don't make his teammates better. He makes his stats look better. That's it, folks. That's it. You don't go and play with other teams' number one franchise players 2 at a time to win championships. Right? You can't do that. That's not organic, folks. That means you got a lot of shortcomings. You can't do that. Now, if you was okay, I'm gonna go play with Wade, or I'm gonna go play with Bosh. No, this guy's going winning championships. Every championship was with other teams' number one franchise players 2 at a time. So you had on one team, every time he won a championship, 3 guys, him and 2 other guys that were other teams' number one franchise players. You guys, a lot of guys don't understand how crazy that is. And these guys weren't old. Again, it wasn't like a Barkley, Drexler, and Hakeem type of thing. Guys weren't old. And when it did get old, he'd just go get some young talent. He never had a home ever since he left the first time in Cleveland. Guess what? That was Dwayne Wade's home. Guess what? That was Kyrie's home. Kyrie was already there doing his thing, going to all-star games, winning 3-point contests. You can say, even though he ain't a Hall of Famer, that was Ball's. Was that Lonzo Ball? That was his home. And whoever else was on that championship team with the Lakers before him and AD came. I mean, that you got to look at that Lakers team, man. That thing was loaded. You had Howard. You had a lot of guys on that team. AD was a monster back then. LeBron James, Bradley, Avery, Rondo. Man, that team was loaded just so they could win a championship while the world was dying, while the world was sick. That's crazy. How crazy is that? So I hope he feels good about his so-called $1 billion, which I don't think he has. That's why he keeps playing. Why he keeps playing is he owes the media a favor for lying about his legacy. So they're trying to keep him in there for controversy as long as they can, because nobody else wants this stuff. And a lot of these people, when LeBron James retire, they're done. Whether it's YouTube guys that, really don't know nothing about the NBA, or sports media. Because you can make money off of guys for better or worse, like Michael Jordan, Kareem, Hakeem, all these guys, they were for better, but they've been doing it for LeBron James for the worst. A loser, a choker, a meltdown artist, a guy who has limited game based on the facts. Based on the facts, right? For better or worse. They took this guy on the worst. Tell me what you think.